Sienna Hayes had perfected the art of the strategic coffee delivery. Every Tuesday and Thursday morning, at precisely 8:47 a.m., she would glide past the executive offices of the Meridian Grand Hotel with 2 cappuccinos in hand, her honey blonde ponytail swaying with each calculated step. One cup was legitimately for Mr. Patterson in accounting. The other was her excuse to accidentally bump into Callum Stone. This particular Thursday morning in late September, Miami's golden sunlight streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the hotel lobby, painting everything in warm amber tones. Sienna smoothed down her burgundy pencil skirt and adjusted her name tag before stepping into the elevator. Her heart performed its usual acrobatic routine as she ascended to the 12th floor where the corporate suites resided. Callum Stone had been her brother's best friend for almost a decade. Ever since Jake had landed his first job at Stone Hospitality Group straight out of college, at 34, Callum had built an empire of luxury hotels across the East Coast. But he still made time every week to watch football with Jake and raid Sienna's refrigerator like they were still broke college students. Except, Sienna was no longer the gangly teenager with braces who used to bring them snacks during their gaming marathons. She had graduated from Cornell's hospitality program 2 years ago and now worked at Callum's flagship property. Though she had earned her position on merit, not connections. At least, that is what she told herself when the other receptionists whispered about nepotism. The elevator doors opened with a soft chime. Sienna took a steadying breath and stepped into the hallway, immediately spotting her target. Callum stood outside the conference room, his charcoal suit tailored perfectly to his athletic frame, dark hair slightly tousled as if he had been running his hands through it. He was reviewing something on his tablet, his jaw tight with concentration. Sienna allowed herself 3 seconds to admire the view. The way his shoulders filled out that jacket, the sharp line of his profile, the capable hands that had probably signed million-dollar deals before breakfast. Then she arranged her features into casual friendliness and approached. "Morning, Callum," she said brightly, deliberately using his first name instead of Mr. Stone, like the other employees. "You look like you could use some caffeine." He glanced up, and for just a moment, something flickered in those steel-gray eyes before his professional mask slid into place. "Sienna, I already had 3 cups. Trying to give me a heart attack?" "Just being thoughtful." She held out the extra cappuccino with an innocent smile. "Unless you are too important now for free coffee." Lemay accepted the cup, his fingers briefly brushing hers. The contact sent electricity racing up her arm, though she kept her expression perfectly neutral. "I am never too important for free anything. Jake taught me that. How's the merger going?" Sienna leaned against the wall, crossing her ankles in a way that she knew showed off her legs. The interest was genuine, but the delivery was deliberate. She had been studying Callum Stone for long enough to know exactly how to push his buttons. His eyes flickered downward for a fraction of a second, before returning to her face. "Complicated. The Singapore investors want terms that would require restructuring half the company, so tell them no." Sienna took a sip of her own coffee. "You built this empire. They should be grateful you are even considering their money." Something like amusement tugged at the corner of his mouth. "It does not work that way in business. Maybe it should." She held his gaze, letting the moment stretch just long enough to become charged. "You give people too much power over you, Callum." "Do I?" His voice dropped half an octave, and Sienna felt the shift in the air between them. This was the game they had been playing for months now. Push and pull. Advance and retreat. Neither willing to acknowledge what was building between them. "Mr. Stone." A nervous assistant appeared from the conference room. "The call with Tokyo is ready." The spell broke. Callum straightened, his professional demeanor snapping back into place like armor. "Thank you, Sienna. For the coffee? Anytime." She pushed off the wall, deliberately letting her hand trail along the doorframe as she passed. "See you at Jake's on Sunday." Would not miss it. His voice was steady, but when Sienna glanced back, she caught him watching her walk away with an expression that made her pulse race. 3 days later, the annual Meridian Grand Charity Gala transformed the hotel's ballroom into a glittering wonderland of crystal chandeliers and champagne fountains. Sienna had volunteered to work the event, partially because it was expected of management track employees, and partially because she knew Callum would be there. She had chosen her dress with surgical precision. emerald green silk that hugged every curve before flowing into a subtle train. A back that dipped just low enough to be intriguing without crossing into inappropriate. Her honey blonde hair was swept up in an elegant twist, leaving her neck and shoulders bare. When she descended the grand staircase at 8 p.m., she spotted Callum immediately. He stood near the bar with a group of investors, looking devastating in a custom tuxedo. But it was the moment he saw her that made the $300 dress worth every penny. His conversation stopped mid-sentence. His eyes tracked her descent with an intensity that made her feel like the only person in the room. By the time she reached the bottom of the stairs, he had excused himself from his companions and was moving toward her with purposeful strides. Sienna. Her name sounded different in his mouth tonight, rougher, hungrier. Looks stunning. You clean up pretty well yourself. Stone, she accepted a champagne flute from a passing waiter, using the moment to compose herself. Having his full attention was more overwhelming than she had anticipated. Dance with me. It was not a question. Sienna raised an eyebrow. Should not you be schmoozing with potential investors? I have been schmoozing for 3 hours. I am taking a break, he offered his hand, and the challenge in his eyes was unmistakable. Unless you are afraid. Of you? Never. She placed her hand in his, ignoring the voice in her head that screamed, this was dangerous territory. The orchestra was playing something slow and sultry as Callum led her onto the dance floor. His hand settled on the bare skin of her lower back, and Sienna had to suppress a shiver. They fit together perfectly, her head just reaching his shoulder, their bodies finding an easy rhythm. This is a bad idea, Callum murmured, after they had been swaying for several moments.
Dancing?
Sienna tilted her head back to look at him. I think you were supposed to network at these things, you know what I mean? His hand flexed against her back. Whatever game you have been playing? I am not playing anything. The lie tasted bitter. Maybe you are just paranoid, Sienna. Ah! The warning in his voice sent heat pooling in her stomach. I have known you since you were 13 years old. You have known me. Past tense. I am not that girl anymore, Callum. His jaw clenched. I am aware. Are you? She let her fingers trace the collar of his jacket. Because you still treat me like Jake's little sister? Like I am off limits. You are off limits. But his hand had moved higher on her back, his thumb drawing small circles that contradicted his words. Says who? Says every rule of friendship and decent behavior. Callum pulled her infinitesimally closer. Says the 12-year age gap. Says the fact that your brother is my best friend and would murder me if I so much as looked at you wrong. You are looking at me wrong right now? Sienna smiled, feeling bold. Have been for months. I am not imagining this, Callum. He closed his eyes briefly, and when he opened them, the raw want she saw there nearly made her stumble. No, you are not imagining it. The admission hung between them, more intimate than any touch. The music swelled, and other couples swirled around them, but Sienna felt like they existed in their own universe. So what are we going to do about it? She whispered. Callum was quiet for a long moment, his expression conflicted. Then he leaned down, his lips brushing her ear as he spoke. Absolutely nothing. Because I will not risk destroying my friendship with Jake. I will not risk your career at this company. And I will not risk hurting you when this does not work out the way you think it will. The words were sensible, rational, responsible. They were also completely devastating. Sienna pulled back to look at him, seeing the determination in his face, warring with the desire in his eyes. You think you are protecting me? But you are just being a coward. His expression shuddered. Maybe I am. Callum, I am not some naive girl with a crush. Sienna's voice was steady, despite the ache in her chest. I know exactly what I want. The question is whether you are brave enough to want it too. Before he could respond, Jake's voice cut through the moment. There you are. Investors from the Dubai group want to meet you. He sprang apart like guilty teenagers. Jake appeared beside them, oblivious to the tension, clapping Callum on the shoulder. You look like you could use a rescue from boring small talk. Come on, Callum, hesitated, his eyes still locked on Sienna. For a heartbeat, she thought he might tell Jake to wait, might finish what they had started. But then his mask slipped back into place. Thanks for the dance, Sienna. His voice was professionally cordial, erasing everything that had passed between them. Duty calls. She watched him walk away with her brother, her heart pounding and her resolve hardening. Callum Stone thought he could protect her by keeping his distance. He thought loyalty to Jake mattered more than what was building between them. He was wrong, and Sienna was done playing it safe. The game had just begun. She always played to win. The week following the gala, Callum avoided Sienna with the dedication of a man fleeing a natural disaster. He worked from his penthouse office. Instead of coming to the hotel, he canceled Sunday dinner with Jake, claiming an emergency trip to Boston. He even stopped responding to her carefully casual text messages about hotel operations. Sienna let him run. She had learned patience during her years of silent longing, and she could afford to wait a few more days. Besides, his avoidance told her everything she needed to know. Callum Stone was scared, and men like him only ran from things that truly threatened their control. On Thursday afternoon, Sienna's manager asked her to deliver some contracts to the Ocean View property, a boutique hotel Callum was renovating on Miami Beach. It was a 40-minute drive, and technically outside her job description, but Sienna volunteered immediately. Fate, it seemed, was on her side. The Ocean View was an Art Deco masterpiece from the 1940s. All curved lines and pastel colors overlooking the turquoise Atlantic. Construction crews were gutting the interior while preserving the historical facade, and the whole place smelled of fresh paint and ocean salt. Sienna found Callum on the third floor, reviewing blueprints with the lead architect. He looked up when her heels clicked on the temporary flooring, and something raw flashed across his face before he composed himself. "Sienna, what are you doing here?" "Delivery." She held up the leather portfolio. "The permits you requested." Mr. Patterson said they were urgent. The architect glanced between them, clearly sensing undercurrents. "I will give you a moment, Mr. Stone. I need to check the measurements in the master's suite anyway." When they were alone, Callum set down his tablet and crossed his arms. He had ditched the suit jacket, and his white dress shirt was rolled up to reveal tanned forearms. Dust streaked one shoulder. He looked tired and gorgeous and thoroughly unhappy to see her. "You could have scanned and emailed those," he said. "I could have." Sienna walked to the window, looking out at the ocean, crashing against the shore. "But then, we would not have this chance to talk." "There is nothing to talk about, really?" She turned to face him. "Because you have been avoiding me for a week." "That seems like something worth discussing." Callum pinched the bridge of his nose. "I have been busy. You are always busy. That has never stopped you from coming around before." Sienna moved closer, watching him tense. "What changed, Callum?" "Nothing changed, liar." She was close enough now to see the shadow of stubble on his jaw. It's the tiny scar above his left eyebrow from a college football injury. "You felt what I felt on that dance floor. You admitted it. A moment of weakness." His voice was firm, but his eyes betrayed him, tracking her movements like a man watching something dangerous and fascinating. "One I will not repeat." "Why not?" Sienna reached out and placed her palm flat against his chest, feeling his heart hammering beneath the cotton. "Give me one good reason that is not about Jake or company policy or age differences. One reason that is about you and me." Callum caught her wrist, but he did not push her away. His thumb found her pulse point, pressing gently. "Because I will ruin you, Sienna. Men like me, we do not do relationships. We do not do forever. And you deserve someone who can give you those things." "Maybe I do not want forever." The lie came easily. "Maybe I just want you." His laugh was bitter. "You do not even know what you are asking for. Then show me." Sienna stepped closer until their bodies were almost touching. "Stop making decisions for me. Stop hiding behind Jake. Just be honest about what you want." The control Callum had been clinging to frayed visibly. His grip on her wrist tightened, and his other hand came up to cup her jaw. "What I want is dangerous. Good thing, I like danger." For a suspended moment, they stood frozen in that charged space between restraint and surrender. Sienna could see the exact second Callum made his choice. His eyes darkened, his breathing changed, and then he was kissing her with a hunger that stole the air from her lungs. It was nothing like the chaste, careful kiss she had imagined during all those years of daydreaming. This was raw and consuming, Callum's mouth claiming hers like he was drowning and she was oxygen. His hand slid into her hair, scattering pins, while his other arm banded around her waist, pulling her flush against him. Sienna responded with equal fervor, her fingers clutching his shirt, trying to get closer. She had wanted this for so long that the reality of it was almost overwhelming. Callum tasted like coffee and mint, and something uniquely him. She never wanted it to end. Thunder rumbled overhead and rain began pelting the windows. Neither of them noticed. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Callum rested his forehead against hers. "This is insane, I know."
Yes.
Sienna smiled, feeling triumphant and terrified in equal measure. "Do it anyway." He pulled back to look at her, his expression conflicted. "Jake will never forgive me. Jake does not get a vote in my love life. He's my best friend, Sienna. My only real friend. I cannot just betray that. Betraying him would be lying about it." Sienna framed his face with her hands. "We tell him the truth. We deal with the consequences, together." Callum searched her eyes, looking for something. Certainty, maybe, or a sign that she understood what she was asking. "You are so young. You have no idea how complicated this will get. Stop using my age as an excuse." Frustration bled into her voice. "I am 22 years old, Callum. I have a degree, a career, and enough sense to know what I want, which is more than I can say for you right now." That sparked something in him. "You think I do not know what I want? I have wanted you since you walked into my office 6 months ago in that navy dress and told me my employee retention strategy was outdated. I have wanted you every single time you showed up with coffee and that smile that says you know exactly what you are doing to me. I have wanted you so badly that I lie awake at night hating myself for it." The confession hung between them, raw and honest. Sienna felt tears prick her eyes, then stopped fighting it. "I cannot give you what you deserve," Callum said quietly. "I work 80-hour weeks. I travel constantly. I have never had a relationship last longer than 6 months because I am married to my company. You deserve someone who will put you first. What if I want someone who understands ambition? What if I want someone who challenges me to be better instead of asking me to be less?" Sienna stepped back, giving him space. "You are not saving me from anything, Callum. You are just too scared to try." Before he could respond, his phone rang. He glanced at the screen and went pale. "It is Jake." Sienna's stomach dropped, but she kept her voice steady. "Answer it." Callum hesitated, then swiped to accept. "Hey man, what's up?" She could not hear Jake's side of the conversation, but she watched Callum's expression shift from guarded to concerned. "When is she okay?" A pause. "No. I can be there in 20 minutes. Tell her I am on my way." He ended the call and looked at Sienna with something like guilt. "Your mom fell and broke her ankle. Jake is at the hospital with her, but he has that presentation in an hour that he cannot miss. He asked if I could go sit with her." All thoughts of their kiss fled. "I am coming with you." They rode to the hospital in tense silence, the weight of what had happened between them pressing down like humidity. Sienna's mother, Patricia Hayes, was a force of nature who had raised 2 kids alone after their father died. And the thought of her hurt made Sienna's chest tight. At the hospital, they found Patricia in a private room. Her left leg elevated and wrapped, looking annoyed rather than pained. "This is ridiculous. I told them I could drive myself home." "Mom." Sienna rushed to her side, relief flooding through her. "You broke your ankle." "It is just a small fracture." Very dramatic of them to insist on admitting me overnight. Patricia squeezed her daughter's hand, then noticed Callum hovering in the doorway. "Callum Stone, get in here and stop lurking like a ghost." He entered with a small smile. "Yes, ma'am. Jake said you were giving the nurses trouble." "The nurses are overly cautious." Patricia waved dismissively. "But I am glad you both came. Keeps me from dying of boredom." For the next hour, they kept Patricia company, swapping stories and laughing at her running commentary about hospital inefficiency. But Sienna could feel the tension radiating from Callum, the careful way he avoided looking at her directly. When Patricia dozed off, Sienna followed Callum into the hallway. "We should talk about what happened." "Not here." Callum's jaw was tight. "Not now? Then when?" "I do not know, Sienna. I need to think." Before she could respond, Jake appeared at the end of the hallway, still in his suit from the presentation. He approached with a grateful smile. "Thanks for coming, both of you. How is she?" Resting, Callum said. Giving the staff a hard time, so she is definitely fine. Jake laughed, clapping him on the shoulder. That sounds like Mom. He turned to Sienna. You did not have to come. I know you had that training session today. Family comes first, Sienna said automatically. Very aware of Callum standing too close, his cologne filling her senses. Always does. Jake's expression softened. I am lucky to have you guys. Seriously, I do not know what I would do without my two favorite people. The words landed like a punch. Sienna saw Callum flinch, saw the guilt wash over his features. When Jake went in to check on their mother, Callum turned to her with devastated eyes. I cannot do this to him, he whispered. I am sorry, Sienna. I am so sorry. And then he walked away, leaving her standing alone in the sterile hospital corridor. Her heart cracking like her mother's fractured ankle, only far more painful and much harder to heal. 2 weeks of silence followed the hospital incident. Callum disappeared into his work like a man possessed, and this time, Sienna did not chase him. She threw herself into her own career, volunteering for extra shifts, studying for her hotel management certification, and pretending that her heart was not breaking a little more each day. Jake noticed something was off. He cornered her one evening at her apartment, 2 pizzas in hand and concern written across his face. Okay, Spill. You have been weird since Mom's accident. What is going on? Sienna considered lying. She had become excellent at it over the past few years, hiding her feelings behind bright smiles and casual conversation. But sitting there with her brother, the person who had raised her as much as their mother had after their father died, she found she could not do it anymore. I need to tell you something, she said slowly, and you are probably going to hate me for it. Jake set down his pizza slice, his expression shifting to big brother mode. Whatever it is, I could never hate you. Did someone hurt you? Because I will destroy them. No, yes, kind of. Sienna took a breath. I am in love with Callum. The silence that followed was deafening. Jake stared at her like she had suddenly started speaking a foreign language. You are what? I am in love with Callum Stone. I have been for years. Now that she had started, the words poured out. I know you are going to say I am too young, or that he is your best friend, or that it is inappropriate, but I do not care. I love him, Jake. And he loves me too, even though he is too scared to admit it.
AJ.
Jake stood up and started pacing. How long? How long has this been going on? Nothing has been going on. We kissed once at the Ocean View property. Then he ran away because he could not handle betraying you. He chose your friendship over me. And I understand why. I do. But it still hurts. Callum kissed you? Jake's voice rose. My best friend kissed my little sister. I am not a little girl anymore. Sienna shot to her feet. I am a grown woman who knows her own mind. And yes, we kissed. And it was amazing and terrifying and everything I have ever wanted. But he will not let himself have it because he is so worried about what you will think. Jake ran his hands through his hair, looking torn between anger and confusion. This is insane. When did this even start? For me? When I was 16 and he helped me study for my SATs, he was patient and kind and treated me like I was smart instead of just your annoying little sister. Sienna's eyes filled with tears. For him, I think recently, maybe 6 months ago, but he has been fighting it because of you, because of me. Jake stopped pacing. Sienna, do you have any idea how complicated this is? Callum is 12 years older than you. He is a workaholic who has never had a serious relationship. He is my best friend since college. I know all of that. Sienna's frustration boiled over. Do you think I have not considered every single reason this is a bad idea? But I love him anyway. And you do not get to tell me who I can or cannot love. Jake was quiet for a long moment, studying his sister's face. Does he really love you back? Yes, Sienna's voice was certain. He is just too loyal to you to do anything about it, that idiot. Jake sank back onto the couch. That noble, self-sacrificing idiot. Wait, you are not angry? Oh, I am furious. Jake looked at her with a complicated expression. But not for the reasons you think. I am angry that my best friend has been torturing himself instead of talking to me. I am angry that you have been suffering in silence. and I am really angry that you both seem to think I am some kind of controlling jerk who would put my comfort above your happiness. Sienna sat down slowly. You are not mad about us? I did not say that. The whole thing is weird and going to take some getting used to. Jake rubbed his face. But Sienna, you are the most important person in my life. You have been since Dad died, and I had to figure out how to be a big brother and a parent all at once. If Callum makes you happy and he treats you right, then I will deal with the weirdness. Really? Hope bloomed in her chest. Really? But if he hurts you, I will break every bone in his body. Best friend or not. Sienna laughed through her tears and threw her arms around her brother. Thank you. Do not thank me yet. You still have to convince that stubborn workaholic that he deserves to be happy. Oh, Jake hugged her back, which knowing Callum is going to be the hard part. He was right. When Sienna showed up at Callum's penthouse that evening, armed with Jake's blessing and her own determination, she found him in his home office, surrounded by contracts and looking like he had not slept in days. We need to talk, she announced. Walking in without waiting for an invitation, Callum looked up, shock and something like longing crossing his face. Sienna, you should not be here? I talked to Jake. He went pale. You what? I told him everything. About how I feel. About the kiss. About how you have been martyring yourself because you are too loyal for your own good. He gave us his blessing, so you are out of excuses. Callum stood slowly, like a man approaching a dangerous animal. You told Jake? Yes. And he was upset at first, but then he said if you make me happy, he will deal with it. Sienna moved closer. So the only thing standing between us now is you and your fear. I am not afraid, Callum said, but his voice lacked conviction. Yes, you are. You are terrified of failing at something that matters. Your business, you can control that. You work hard, you succeed. But relationships are messy and unpredictable, and you might actually get hurt. Sienna reached him and placed her hands on his chest. Well, guess what? I am terrified too, but I am willing to try anyway. Callum covered her hands with his eyes searching her face. What if I mess this up? What if I cannot be what you need? Then we will figure it out together. That is how relationships work. Sienna smiled. You are not alone anymore, Callum. You have me. You have Jake. You have people who love you and want you to be happy. Stop pushing that away. I do not deserve you, he whispered. Probably not. But you are stuck with me anyway. Sienna rose on her toes and kissed him softly. So stop running and let yourself have this. Let yourself have us. For a moment, Callum held completely still, and Sienna worried she had pushed too hard. Then his arms came around her, pulling her close, and he was kissing her with a desperation that spoke of weeks of denial and longing. I love you, he murmured against her lips. I have tried so hard not to, but I love you so much, it terrifies me. I love you too. Sienna smiled against his mouth. Now stop being an idiot and admit you want this. I want this, Callum agreed. I want you. Every complicated, terrifying, wonderful part of this. They spent the rest of the evening talking, really talking, about expectations and fears and what a relationship between them might look like. Callum admitted he had never let anyone close because losing his parents. Young had taught him that loving people meant risking devastating loss. Sienna confessed that she had been so focused on proving herself that she had forgotten to actually live. We are both disasters, Sienna laughed. Curled up against his side on the couch, perfect for each other. Then Callum pressed a kiss to her temple. But we are doing this right. Slow. No hiding, no secrets. And absolutely no favoritism at work. Agreed. I want to earn my promotions fair and square. Sienna tilted her head to look at him. Although dating the boss does have its perks. Like what? Like this. She kissed him again, slow and sweet, savoring the fact that she could finally do this without guilt or fear. 3 months later, the Meridian Grand celebrated its 15th anniversary with a gala even more spectacular than the charity event. Sienna attended as a guest this time, wearing a silver gown that made Callum's eyes darken with appreciation when he picked her up. You are stunning, he said. Kissing her hand like an old-fashioned gentleman, You're not so bad yourself. Sienna adjusted his bow tie. Ready to make our debut as an official couple? With you? Always. The ballroom buzzed with Miami's elite, but Sienna only had eyes for Callum. They danced, they laughed, they mingled with investors and employees alike. And when someone made a snide comment about their age difference, Callum simply pulled Sienna closer and said, I am the luckiest man in this room. Anyone who has a problem with that can take it up with me. Jake found them near midnight, champagne in hand, and a knowing smile on his face. You two are disgustingly happy. It is kind of nauseating. Jealous. Sienna teased. Terrified, Jake corrected. If this does not work out, I lose both of you. So do me a favor and make this last forever, okay? Callum met his best friend's eyes over Sienna's head. That is the plan. Good. Jake raised his glass. 2 new beginnings and not keeping secrets from your best friend ever again? They clinked glasses, and Sienna felt a warmth spread through her chest that had nothing to do with the champagne. This was what she had wanted all along. Not just Callum, but this. The easy acceptance, the support, the sense that everything had finally fallen into place. As the night wound down, Callum led Sienna out onto the hotel's oceanfront terrace. The Miami skyline glittered behind them, and the Atlantic stretched dark and infinite before them. I have something for you, Callum said. Pulling a small velvet box from his pocket, Sienna's heart stopped. Callum, if that is what I think it is, we have only been officially dating for 3 months. Relax, it is not a ring. He opened the box to reveal a delicate gold necklace with a small key pendant. It is a key to my penthouse. I want you to have your own. I want you to feel like you belong there with me. Sienna's eyes filled with happy tears as he fastened the necklace around her neck. I love it. I love you. I love you too. Callum turned her to face him, his hand settling on her waist. You were right, you know? I was being a coward. But you taught me that some things are worth the risk. Just some things. Sienna teased. You are worth every risk. Every complication. Every moment of fear. He kissed her softly. You are worth everything, Sienna Hayes. As they stood there wrapped in each other's arms, the city lights reflecting off the ocean and the sound of the gala continuing inside, Sienna thought about how far they had come. From stolen glances and coffee deliveries to this moment of complete honesty and commitment, she had loved Callum Stone in secret for years, had teased and pursued him with single-minded determination, and now finally she had him. Not because she had worn him down, or because circumstances had forced his hand, but because he had chosen her. Because he had found the courage to want something for himself. What are you thinking about? Callum murmured against her hair. Happy ending, Sienna said, and how sometimes the best ones are the ones you have to fight for. This is not an ending, Callum corrected, tilting her chin up to meet his eyes. This is just the beginning. And as he kissed her under the Miami stars, Sienna knew he was right. Their story was just starting, full of promise and possibility and love that had been worth every moment of waiting, every risk, every leap of faith. She had teased her brother's best friend, the man she secretly loved until he finally admitted he loved her back. And now they had forever to figure out exactly what that meant. It was Sienna decided the perfect beginning to their perfectly imperfect love story.